Hey everybody, this is Steven from PopCultureMaven.com. We're back with this week's, actually 2 weeks of new comic book reviews. Hopefully everybody had a good Christmas. I went to visit family. And in Nevada. So that's one of the reasons why, I had to it was a short week last week because of the holiday and getting ready. And plus, the past 2 weeks really haven't been that big as far as new comics go. So I decided to just combine the two, and obviously this is running a bit late, but and then next week looks like it's going to be pretty light too. So hopefully starting next week we'll get back on schedule, and hopefully I can get to. I don't like doing top 10 list for the year, but I do want to do some of my favorite comics from the year. So hopefully I'll be able to record that soon, so we can go, kind of have a look back at 2023 as we look forward to 2024. But there's, like I said, there's not a lot of books over the past 2 weeks, but there is a fair amount. So, like I said, I think it was easier just to lump them all together. So we'll get going. So first up, I want to point out the Where the Body Was, the new Ed Brubaker, Sean Phillips graphic novel, another wonderful hardcover. Basically, it's another kind of murder mystery crime noir book from the two. It's really wonderful. I don't really want to give too much of the story away, but if you should have been reading their previous books, these are really great books. So definitely check it out. It came out last week, so check with your local comic shop and see if they still have some. First up, we have Duke #1, written by Joshua Williamson, with artwork by Tom Riley. So this is part of the, Hasbro, kind of universe that is going, that Robert Kirkman's Skybound's doing. So Void Rivals was the first book, and then Daniel Warren Johnson's doing Transformers, and Joshua Williamson is doing the G.I. Joe books. This is the first one. There's Duke, and then there's going to be a Cobra Commander book. But they're definitely tied together because there was a scene in the last issue of Transformers, I believe it was number 3. Yeah, I think 3, where Duke was one of the pilots coming after the Decepticons. And so that's how it ties in. The one neat thing about this is this universe is tied together, but you don't necessarily need to have read it. I mean, you should be obviously reading Daniel Warren Johnson's Transformers because it's freaking amazing. But you can totally, anything you need to know that has happened in that issue concerning Duke, there is, Williamson fills it in quite nicely. So basically what it is after the incident of the other pilot getting killed or squished basically by the Decepticon, Hawk is, Conrad Howard, or Duke, not Hawk, Colonel Hawk, interviews him, and Duke is like, hey, you're just covering this up, blah, blah, blah. He wants to find out the truth. So he kind of goes to, I guess you could say these people who believe in like UFOs and stuff. And he starts digging around, and let's put it this way. He stumbles onto Cobra. Not that this is a big shock. That is not a big reveal. But it's really an interesting issue. Williamson, for me, can sometimes run hot and cold. I think he's a good writer, but once again, not everything's going to stick with everybody. But I have to say, I've never really been, like a G.I. Joe person. I kind of read the comics. I remember the Marvel one when it came out. It was a big deal. But Williamson really has tapped into something, and I think it really has to do with kind of the approach that everybody's taking with these Hasbro properties. And, they're keeping them like, they're not trying to reinvent the wheel. They're not changing the characters. They're not adding stuff. They're just, I don't want to say modernizing. I think they're just telling good stories. And Williamson writes this first issue is really solid. I was very impressed with it, and not being a G.I. Joe fan, that's pretty impressive. Riley's artwork is really nice. It's a really good looking book, solid artwork. there's there's a scene when Duke breaks into like this facility, and it's all done in silence and everything. There's no dialogue, and it's just really well done. Riley's doing a really great job on this book. Like I said, definitely well worth picking up, and as well, you should be picking up Transformers, because that honestly has been there's only 3 issues, but it literally has turned into one of my favorite books of the year. So next up we have Animal Pound #1, written by Tom King, with artwork by Peter Gross. So the best way to kind of describe this is kind of like Animal Farm meets Lord of the Flies. So basically what it is all, these cats and dogs, and there's some bunnies and some other things in a pound. And so this one cat, has, basically tries to convince the dog, or the dogs, that they need to work together so they can escape, their prison, basically. And so what it is that, she convinces them to work together. And so they take over the pound. They basically kick the workers out. And, that's pretty much what happens in the first issue. It's kind of a setup. It's really quite fascinating. Once again, I mean, King is taking these kind of 2 stories basically and kind of crunching them together. But what's really interesting is how the characters are just developed. I mean, they're really well rounded and everything, and they're just really so well thought out and everything. You believe these characters, and you kind of forget that they're animals in some respects. You start to know them as characters, and that's really, I mean, look, I'm a big Tom King fan, but this is really a good book, really solid book. Peter Gross's art is absolutely fantastic. Because once again, he's able to get these expressions through animal faces, and that's kind of hard because they don't have like the human kind of facial features that we do. But he's able to pull everything off so well, and the emotional impact of the visuals are just, this is really a good book. I'm really interested to see where he takes this book. And the ramifications of them actually taking over the pound, to kind of see what happens after this first issue. This was really a good book, definitely a must-buy book this past 2 weeks. Next up, we have Batman Offworld #2, written by Jason Aaron, with artwork by Doug Mankey. Batman has been captured by this Warstorm ship. And so he's way underclass. These aliens are super strong and everything, and almost indestructible, some of them. So what he is, he's not good enough to be a fighter. So he's kind of like a janitor, go clean this up and go clean that up. And while, in his off time, while, he's sneaking off and he's working with a punch bot to learn how to fight them. And so, what it is Ione, she's a prisoner too, and she teaches him, how to fight the aliens. Like, their genitals might be in their armpits. So she says, okay, this guy, kick him in the armpit, or punch him in the armpit. That'll take him down. Or, punch him in the throat. That's where his weakness is. And so, they basically do a prison break, and Batman does escape. I don't want to really give anything away because it's quite fascinating. So I don't want to give it away, but it's really interesting. And I'm glad that in a way that Aaron has taken him off the ship. It's because this first 2 issues kind of been a setup to him learning about this far off galaxy, or, where he is. And, like I said, I was really, I was fascinated by the book. It's still a little weird to have, Batman out in space, cause he's usually in Gotham. But this has been really interesting. It's kind of like pitting him in this, like off-world Gotham, really is kind of where his brain is and everything. And then of course Mankey's artwork is really, really nice. Like I said, I liked the first issue, but I'm like, Batman in space, does this make any sense? And I'm still not entirely sold on him being in space. But I do really like the story and what Aaron's doing. And then of course Mankey's artwork is really just wonderful. It's still well worth checking out. I am digging in. Yes, I know there's 18 million Bat books, but this one's actually pretty good, and this is Jason Aaron's first Batman story, so still worth checking out. Next up, we have Godzilla War for Humanity #3, written by Andrew MacLean with artwork by Jake Smith. Now, this third issue was a little late from the first couple issues, but what it is there's a new kaiju, Zoospora, who basically infects other kaijus, and in the last issue, it infected the Megora robot and its crew, so they're infected. So now it's down to Dr. Yuko Honda to like kind of get the team together and try to stop this. And her, from the first issue, her childhood, she was saved from Godzilla. So her, basically what they do is they basically go to Monster Island, steal Godzilla's son to get him to the city where he can hopefully take out the monsters that have been possessed by Zoospora. So that's really what kind of happens in this issue. The Godzilla comics have been kind of okay. I haven't really followed them too much. The main reason I checked this out was because Andrew MacLean was writing it, and I really like his stuff. And it's a fun Godzilla story. It's, I like it. But really for me, Jake Smith has been the big win on this book. He just has this really different visual style that really fits this book, fits Godzilla in general. It's just it's a really great looking book, and MacLean's script is really, really good. I'm really digging it, and if you're a fan of Godzilla, I think it's well worth checking out. Next up, we have Rumpus Room #4, written by Mark Russell, with artwork by Ramon Rosanas. So what it is this billionaire basically kidnaps people, and then turns them into this youth cream. Like somebody who's a delivery guy, he'll kidnap him or whatever. And so what it was is Erica, she's an undercover cop. She was looking for her sister who's disappeared in this whole thing by Bob Shrunk, who's the billionaire. And so what it is, this issue, she, they plan escape, she escapes, she goes to the cops. Well, what she doesn't know is that Bob basically owns the cops, owns the town and everything because he's super rich. And so they end up bringing her back. And then there's a big reveal at the end of the issue, which I will not give away, but it has something to do with Erica and her sister. So it's really quite fascinating what, because it started off as really, okay, billionaire, squishes people, makes youth cream out of it. Okay, that's an interesting thing. But I think, once again, I'm a big Mark Russell fan, but what he's really done with this story is there's so much more than that. That is to get the story started, but there's so much deeper characterization and what's going on in this whole thing that's really quite fascinating. And Rosanas's artwork is really, really good. It's a really good looking book. He does a great job. There's a lot of times where people stand around talking, and I always say, if you can visually do that, then you've got it. And he does a really great job with expressions and stuff. And it's a really good book. I'm really digging this. The next issue is going to be the last one, so we'll kind of see where it lands. But it's been a very solid book. Definitely well worth checking out. And next up, we have Batman Santa Claus Silent Night #3 and Batman Santa Claus Silent Night #4. They're both written by Jeff Parker, and there's different artists. So we have Michelle Bandini, Trevor Hairsine, Danny Kim, and Steven Segovia. So the first two did issue 3, and the second two finished off on issue 4. So basically what it is Santa and Krampus are, it's kind of like Viking mythology, which was set up in the first couple issues. In the third issue, Superman gets possessed because Krampus is he's not so much a bad guy per se. He's being influenced by this possession thing. And so what it is so he possesses Superman, and then Superman is teaming up with the escapees, monsters and orgs and stuff. And so that's not going well. And then Krampus kidnaps Damien because he's the youngest, he's a kid. And so really what it is Damien kind of, once he basically convinces Krampus that, things are, that he'll be good and everything. Like, goes back to the Krampus mythology that Krampus takes naughty kids and boys and girls. And so Damien kind of plays him, and that's, I don't want to give away too much more, but the thing I actually have liked about this is it's came out weekly, which is nice. You don't really kind of see that too much anymore. But what was really good is it's kind of an event, but it's an event that only took 1 month, and it didn't go through 300 books or whatever. It's kind of a self-contained story. The great thing is Parker got to use pretty much anybody he wanted in the DC universe. So it is, even though it says Batman, it really is kind of a bunch of different characters in the DC universe. The artwork has been actually pretty good. I mean, Bandini did most of the art in the first 3 issues, and then the rest of them kind of came in on the last couple issues. Overall, the artwork was nice and really, did a pretty good job of doing it. It's always tough when you have kind of multiple artists on a book, but overall it looks good and everything. It just was a nice little Christmas story. And, once again, having it come out weekly was kind of a plus. So, I'm sure there'll be a trade of it, hopefully soon. Maybe, who knows, they might wait till next Christmas to release it, but I don't think they will. It was actually, pretty good and well worth kind of checking out. It was a fun, good holiday read, which we don't get a lot of those. Next up, we have the Deviant #1 and the Deviant #2, written by James Tynion IV with artwork by Joshua Hickson. So as with some of the other videos, I want to interject that we are playing a little catch up because in November I was over in Japan for vacation. So we're still kind of playing a little catch up with some books. So that's where we're seeing some older books come in like a couple issues at a time, so we can still catch up. With that being said, basically what it is, the Deviant is a comic book writer, Michael, who is researching this story, these murders from 1973, where there was this Santa like monster killer. It's like you see it in the book and everything, but what it was is Randall Olsen was convicted of killing these killings, and what it was is he was a gay man. Of course, in 1973, that was not a fun place to be a gay man. And what it was is there was 2 boys, because he worked as a Santa, and that's why he kind of got blamed, because the killer is Santa, although it's not him. And what it was is 2 of the boys who were elves. He wasn't molesting them or anything. It's nothing like that, but he was thought to have, because he had pictures of them, because they became, friends, but he didn't cross the line. And once again, that also was part of the reason why he was convicted, because once again, he's a child molester. And so that's the setup in the first issue. In the second issue, Michael is going around, he's interviewing, and one of the people he's interviewing is one of the cops that was at the scene of the 2 boys. And he saw basically the monster, but he survived getting hit, getting attacked by the Santa monster. But he also, when he discovers that Michael, the comic writer, is gay, he kind of clams up and stuff. So in a way, what's interesting about the story is Michael and Randall have this connection because of, they're both gay, but what's interesting is Randall, is kind of like the kind of question is, does Randall know what's going on? Is he really innocent? That's what's kind of interesting about this whole story, is there's a lot of subtext and a lot of subtle things under the surface in this story. It's kind of a straight up horror story, but then there's kind of these layers that is Tynion is peeling back in this story that's quite fascinating. So it's really been interesting these first couple issues. Hickson's artwork is really nice. It's really gritty and moody and everything, and it's very disturbing, but it's also he does a really nice job, like, when it's just like the present day and, Michael's, talking to Paul and stuff. It's like these talking heads, he kind of brightens it up and everything. So definitely color comes into play in the artwork a lot, and Hickson's doing a really great job. This is really interesting. If you're definitely a horror fan, this is really well worth checking out. I really dig this book. And like I said, it's more of like, Tinian could have just done, this murderer Santa Claus thing, but there's so much, layering to it underneath. It's really quite fascinating. I'm really, really liking this book. Next up, we have The Maze Agency #1, written by Mike W. Barr, with artwork by Silvano Beltramo. Now, I'm a big fan of The Maze Agency from back in the day. I'll give you a little bit of history. It started off, I think, at Kamiko or whatever. There's been many different it's been through many different publishers through the years, but originally it started off that Alan Davis was the artist. Because Mike W. Barr worked with him on Batman the Outsiders and Batman. And but he had commitments that he couldn't do, so there was this young new artist that took over from him to draw the book on a regular basis, and that was Adam Hughes. That was really his first big break, and that actually got him his later job at DC. And over the years, there's been I think there was a company, Innovation, that had it. IDW published it at one point. Now it's at Scout. The basic structure of this has always been the same. Each issue is a murder. So the main characters are Jennifer Mays and Gabriel Webb are the two main. She's a private detective. She's this kind of private detective, security guard, kind of bodyguard. And Gabriel he's kind of like the Sherlock Holmes, and she's kind of the Watson, I guess you could kind of say, where he's the one solving it, but she's kind of the muscle of the whole thing. And so what this story is, there's a sequel to this movie, and when they're filming it, one of the main actors gets killed, and there's a disgruntled actress from the first one, and of course, she's the prime suspect. So what it is each one is a murder mystery and one and done story. And so once again, Barr has been doing this book for a long time. So that part has not changed. The story is actually quite good. Where this book really unfortunately suffers is with the artwork by it's just really not very good. And it's really kind of sad because it's really, I'm reading it and I'm liking the story and everything, but the art is it's not very good. Look, I really hate saying this because I'm a huge fan of the Maze Agency, and I understand, that Scout is a really small publisher, but it's just the art just unfortunately kind of kills the book. And I really sadly can't recommend it. I mean, if you're a Maze Agency fan, if you're like me and you remember the book, I'd say go ahead and pick it up. I mean, I enjoyed the story. I mean, it was a tough slog with the artwork, but it's just really, really tough. I really can't recommend it because the artwork is unfortunately just a really big anchor on the book. And I really wish and hope that, maybe they could find an artist, but at this point, it's going to be tough to see if I even buy another issue of it, but it's a shame. But, but if you like murder mysteries, you might give it a try. But like I said, just the artwork is just not very good. So sad to say, and apologies all around. Next up, we have Wonder Woman #4, written by Tom King and with artwork by Daniel Sampri. And then the backup, World's Finest Part 2, written by Tom King with artwork by Belen Ortega. So this is continuing the storyline of that the Amazons have are persona non grata in the U.S. Because one of them went to the U.S. and killed some people. So what has been going on is that Sovereign, there's this character Sovereign who's kind of behind the scenes and he's pulling like the strings with the government. And what he did in the last issue is he set up Private Raphael to basically mind controlled him to commit suicide, and he left a note saying that because he fought, he was part of the team that battled Wonder Woman. Now, battle Wonder Woman did not kill anybody. But she just took out the army that was trying to take her out. And so what it was is he basically killed himself because, she's a woman, and he took away my manhood because, she beat our team up. So that's what Sovereign has, he's setting up, he's pulling the strings of the government. But really the main crux of this particular issue is that Wonder Woman is going to see this boy, Jack, who is dying. And, it's his wish to, he idolizes Wonder Woman. Now, obviously, his parents are really like torn because, they know he's going to die and they want to grant him his wish. But Wonder Woman is, kind of persona non grata. But she comes and she takes him in a tour with the invisible jet, which is really great. She takes him to Theraschema, Paradise Island, because it's his wish to visit there. The Amazons won't let her and him in, but Nubia, the queen, says, well, she's Wonder Woman, and I think she gets to do whatever she wants. So they have a wonderful day. And there's a really emotional component to Jack that I don't want to give away, but it really hit me hard. And that's what I love about King is he's able to really capture these subtle moments of, Jack having a great day, but Jack reveals a kind of a, not a secret, but feelings that he has. And like I said, I don't want to say because it's a very emotional, the last couple pages, at the end of the day, it really is just, it shows you not only what a great writer Tom King is, but how well he writes characters. And that's not an easy thing. And it's really just beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. And Sampri is just knocking it out of the park. His artwork is just stunning. The way he captures the subtle things, and there's so much emotion in this. There's not really a lot of action in this issue, but just the scope, how he's able to have these big scope parts and then these little moments that he captures from King's script, which is just, it's beautiful. And I am really loving the backup with Damian and John, kind of babysitting Trinity. And he also makes a nod to the classic Alan Moore, Dave Gibbons, for The Man Who Has Everything story with the flower that, basically grant your wishes, your ultimate wish. And Trinity, kind of gets a hold of it, and the boys have to like get it off her. And that's, it's fun because it's kind of like Baby's Day Out, but with superheroes, and Ortega's artwork is really wonderful. She's doing a really wonderful job. This book, you need to be buying this book. I mean, King, Wonder Woman is always been a tough character to write, and King has figured it out here. And I knew that he was going to do it because his Supergirl series was wonderful. So this is a must-buy book, and really, it's definitely, it is that good. So definitely a must-buy. Next up, we have Rare Flavors number 3, written by Ram V with artwork by Philippe Andre. So the story is that Ruben, who's this large gentleman, has found Mo, who is a photographer and stuff, and he wants him to video, his journey of food flavors and stuff. So that's kind of the basis of the story. And what it is each issue has a kind of a recipe, but then Ram writes a story around the recipe. And this recipe is for Ran, which is a recipe for a leg of lamb. And so there's, how you marinate and all that kind of stuff. So what he's doing, he's picking a particular food that has to do with flavor and seasoning and stuff. and weaves it into the story. But the big thing that happens in this issue is that Mo finally sees Ruben, that his favorite flavor is people. So that really kind of changes. Now, we've known this from kind of the beginning about Ruben, but Mo has just figured it out. And then there's these two guys that have been chasing Ruben, and now they've all it all has all come together. So it'll be really interesting to see how it all susses out from this particular issue. But this is the same team who did the Many Deaths of Layla Starr, which is wonderful. Go pick that trade up. It's an amazing book. Ram V is really how he's weaving food, and the story is just, it's so seamless and so beautiful. Plus, there's stories that go with these flavors, the recipes, and they're just absolutely, I honestly don't know how he does it. I do not know how he does it. This book is absolutely amazing. And then you have Andre's artwork, which Andre's, it's gorgeous. It's absolutely stunning looking book. I mean, comics don't get much better than this. That's all I have to say. This is a must buy, stunning book. Next up, we have Beyond Real #1, written by Zach Kaplan, with artwork by Fabian Mascolo and Tony Fallujah. So what it is that June and Eli, they're a young couple in love, and there's a car accident, and June survives. She had a brain injury, but she survived, and Eli is still in a coma. And so what it is she kind of has these, what she thinks are kind of like brain glitches, where she's able to kind of see stuff. And really the easiest way to explain this is that she's able to see the Matrix. That's, that's really, for me, what I got out of the whole thing, that she's able to see like the behind the scenes. Now, whether this is the Matrix, I don't know, but whether she's able to see another dimension, I don't know, but that's the easiest way to explain it. It's kind of one of those things. I mean, Kaplan, the story's really interesting, but I don't think we really learned a lot. We didn't really learn much about the two main characters. And then and then the whole Matrix thing starts, and you're like, okay, that's neat, but where are you going with this? And I don't think it's bad. I just think that it's like, I didn't really feel a huge connection. So when the weird stuff kind of starts happening, you're like, okay, that's nice, but it's just weird. The artwork by Mascolo and Fallujah is actually pretty nice. Pretty decent for a Vault book. It's just, for me, it wasn't particularly compelling. Now, I believe this is one of those books that Vault is sending free to out to retailers. So, look, if you can get it for free from your thing, I think it's worth a look. I didn't think it was terrible by any stretch of the imagination. I wasn't particularly blown away by the first issue. It's not bad. It's okay. But if you can get it for free, it's I think it's worth a look. It's not a huge recommendation, but like I said, the art's nice, and the story has promise. The question is, where's Kaplan going to go with it? So, so there you go. Next up, we have Nightwing #109, written by Tom Taylor, with artwork by Stephen Byrne. So this pretty much pretty much finishes the pirate Nightwing story, with Beatrice. Last issue she was stabbed by her, because she was adopted by the captain, and the captain's blood relative, or blood son, Dirk, basically wants control of, like, the vault, the Cross Keys vault. And so, Dick rescues her. She gets her band of pirates back together, and she takes control of the vault and her crew and the ship and everything. And so the kind of the crux of how Dick got involved with this is that there's one of the boxes is for him. So he opens the box, and it's a DVD of the security footage of the night that his parents were killed. It was that footage was missing. So the hole has been filled on, who actually killed his parents. So I'm not going to say, I don't want to ruin it. But that is obviously leading into the next story arc. So that's interesting. I've really enjoyed this. It's kind of been like Nightwing meets Harlequin romance and everything, because the whole pirate open shirt and everything has been really just kind of visually hilarious. Stephen Byrne's doing a really nice job in the artwork. I still love this book. Bruno's doing covers, but we'll see. But they've had a really good run of Travis Moore did some issues. Stephen Byrne's currently on the book, so we'll see if he stays. His artwork's really nice. He's doing a really nice job. I still love this book. I love the whole pirate story was just really great, and how Tom Taylor is really just keeping this book going, and that's really what you want from an ongoing, where every month you're like, okay, I'm enjoying it. Am I still enjoying it? Hell yeah, Tom. So yeah, it's still worth picking up. Next up, we have The Dwellings #3, written and drawn by Jay Stevens. As with the last couple issues, what it is he self-published 6 issues, and then Ani has been putting 2 issues together in a like book format kind of thing, the square bound, and so each issue has 2 separate stories. The first one is Pester's Calls, I think. Pester's Call, and the second one is Undergrowth. So the first one is about this woman, Scylla, who was part of a gang, and then she kind of gets, she leaves the gang, she takes another identity. This detective Royster discovers her, and because he's been following her for a long time, and then she ends up getting away from the cop. She kills the cop. The gang comes and captures her, and it's kind of like Harvey Comics meets like Reservoir Dogs in a horror movie. I mean, that's really what this book is. It's all cute visually. It's like Harvey Comics, like Casper and Richie Rich, but it's like adult nightmares, and that's the best way to describe the book, and that's what I love about it. That it's cute on the surface, but it's very dark underneath. The second one, The Undergrowth, is about this guy Jimmy, who has blocked something out of his mind. So his therapist is trying to get him to relive his childhood, and he hung out with this group of kids. Then and this kid Jackson was like the leader, and he was kind of the troublemaker. And so what it is there was a murder when he was they found that there was this little girl that was murdered, and they were out in the woods and they kind of discovered it. But there's a darker secret that Jimmy has about the murder, and I will not give it away here. But Stevens gives it a really nice twist in the end. Visually, once again, I'm a big fan of Jay Stevens' artwork. If you missed any of the issues, I know the first issue sold out. I had to go to second printing. There, in the back of this issue, there's going to be a hardcover collection of all 6 issues. So definitely check that out if you have a dark sense of humor, and kind of cutesy on the dark side doesn't bother you. These books are really wonderful. And the good thing is, like, you can just pick up this issue. They're all standalone stories. So that has been a big plus for this book. But I've really loved it, and I'm glad that Ani picked it up and kind of brought it to a wider audience, because he did like a crowdfunding for the book initially. So this is a way to get it to a broader audience, which is always good. I'm always, I love Jay Stevens, so this was a win for me too. And finally this week we have the New Teen Titans #1 Facsimile edition, written by Marv Wolfman, with pencils by George Perez and inks by Romeo Tangal. Now, as with all the Facsimile editions, this reprints the ads and everything, which is always fun. But my favorite one was the middle spread for the Saturday morning cartoons, which was always a great back in the day. You get excited about the new fall season. But this is where the classic Wolfman Perez run starts. You get to see how it all started in this first issue, which is really a solid first issue. But as they went along, obviously the book really... the first issue was great. It got even better from there. They were truly firing on all cylinders. Initially, a lot of people blew it off as kind of an X-Men ripoff. because of the Claremont burn, kind of thing. But this was truly, it is and still is seminal work, and it's really fascinating to see how it all started, and to actually see like the ads. The ads are kind of like the best part of these facsimile editions. I was there day one when that book came out. Yes, it does date me, but it still holds up really well today, and that's a sign of a truly classic and a seminal work. George Perez was really, he was a, really great artist. He became so much better over the years, but you can really see, this is George, and it's just a beautiful book. And Marv, and eventually the thing is, they are co-creators, and George really brought a lot to the book story wise, with Marv. And that's what a true collaboration can be. And you really see it in this book for sure. And that's it. That's all we got, kids, this week. Like I said, we're still kind of catching up. Hopefully, I think we've caught up with most everything. There's still some stuff. Maybe if next week's is slow, we'll kind of bring some other things that I've missed along the way, back into the videos. But as always, public service announcement: I get all my comics at Pulp Fiction Comics in Long Beach, California. Ryan Skinner runs a great store. He's the owner. They have a great pull service, so that way you don't miss any issues like this. He offers discounts on trades and graphic novels every day. Has a great all ages section. He has a lot of he has a section for local creators who do their own books and prints and things like that, which is really awesome. They have a kind of a used section. He doesn't put beat up books out. He only takes good trades, and you get a good discount on those books with that. So that's definitely well worth checking out. It's a great store. There's Annie, there's Wendy, Derek runs their socials. Check out, they have a Pulp Fiction Long Beach group on Facebook. Definitely check that out. They do videos of the books that come out every week. They have in-store. They've done a lot. This year he had a lot of creators come in, do books. He has Pulp Noir, which is kind of a Wednesday night out, kind of after hours, get together for people go to the shop. It's really awesome. As always, make sure you support your local comic shop. It's really important, especially in these tough times. Comic shops some are really struggling. So make sure you pick up your books that you order and everything, and your merchandise and all that kind of stuff. And as always, we end our show with be kind. Be kind to each other, and be kind to yourself. I know this time of the year can be really tough for some people. Sometimes, for some people, it's not a happy season. So just take care of yourselves, and take care of yourself. But being kind to others doesn't cost anything. It's good for you. It's good for everyone. Just be kind to each other. Things are tough all over. The world can be a really ugly place, but being kind can make it a beautiful place. With that, hopefully you had a good Christmas. Have a great New Year's. Have a safe New Year's. Please be safe out there. Take it easy. Have fun, but always take care of yourselves. It's really, it's a new year. Maybe we'll make resolutions to have good comics. That's our resolution here at popculturemaven.com. We want to always have good comics. So that's going to do it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for putting up with me this whole year. It's really been appreciated. I appreciate all the comments and the feedback and everything, and it's been great. And thanks for watching the show. I really appreciate it. I do this because I love comics. I've read comics pretty much my entire life, and it's something I love, and I love sharing it. So thanks again. Happy holidays. Have a happy new year. Be safe. Take care of yourself. Be kind. This is Steven from popculturemaven.com. That's a mouthful sometimes. Thanks for watching. It's been a great year. It'll be even better next year. Take care of yourselves. All right. Bye-bye.